Hi there guys, so a few of you are probably preparing for your GCSE English language exam this summer. Now you may be feeling all that little bit anxious about it, but I can help you improve your grade by just learning a few useful tips. So in this short presentation brought to you by Guinea Pig Education, I'm going to show you how to interpret what the examiner requires in a typical writing task, how to gauge the right tone, use the right language, and get those techniques in that will help you to write a well-structured response. Now all the information and all the techniques I talked to you about today come from the book How Do I Improve My Grades in GCSE Writing. It's a brush up on the essential writing skills and it can be yours for £5 today. All you need to do is email amanda@guineapigeducation.co.uk. That's amanda@guineapigeducation.co.uk. So, how can I help you to improve your grade in your GCSE writing task this summer? So the best thing to do is to look at a typical writing task sort of exam question that you're going to be presented with. So here is one of those. Write an article for the school magazine persuading students to join an after-school extracurricular activity working with disabled children. Now at first glance this may seem like a fairly simple question, one you probably could have tackled years ago, but it's important that you identify what the examiner wants. The first thing you need to be considering is the form that your writing is going to take. Now they could be asking you for a report, an article, a biography, or even a letter. And you can see if we revert back to the previous slide here that they're asking for an article. So that's sorted then. So now we need to think about the purpose. What is the purpose of your writing going to be? They could be asking you to argue, to persuade, explain, advise, inform, describe, review, and even to entertain. And if we look at the question here, the magazine persuading students to join an after-school extracurricular activity. So they're asking you to persuade. That's the purpose of the question here. So you need to be thinking about using persuasive language to convince your reader, to get him or her on your side, to see it from your point of view. So let's have a look at an example of how you can use very persuasive language in order to do that. Now it would look extremely impressive to have extracurricular activities on your CV, wouldn't it? And here's another example. We have no doubt that many students will wholeheartedly support us. Extremely impressive and no doubt underlined there, a very persuasive language. There are many other ways that you could put it which really wouldn't persuade the person to do what you're asking at all, but these don't. They persuade that person. And then you also need to identify with the reader and encourage them to think in a certain way. We are positive that working in the community as a volunteer will be rewarding. We know it will enable you to become a caring, supportive and well-rounded individual. We are positive, not we know that working in the community as a volunteer will be rewarding. That wouldn't have the same effect, but we are positive. It's encouraging them to think in a certain way, thinking as you want them to be. So now you need to impress them. You need to impress the examiner, put in that persuasive stuff. And here are a few of the techniques they're going to be looking for, and they're going to be ticking off the marks as they see these in your writing this summer. So you need to have groups of 3 in there. Rhetorical questions, exaggeration, anecdotes, pronouns like we, and emotive words. And coming up soon we'll have some examples of all those things in a piece of writing taken from the Guinea Pig Education book I referred to at the beginning of the presentation. So let's have a look at a standard example of a persuasive phrase. The group is desperate for help. Now it's an emotive word. It tugs at your heartstrings and makes you want to help. So that pretty much concludes the purpose part. But next you need to be thinking about your target audience. Who are my target audience? You need to have the set of people that you are talking to when you are writing these pieces. So they may be asking you to write a blog on the internet. Now this is going to be quite different to if you're potentially being asked to write an article. You're going to be using informal language here. It might be quite chatty, as if talking to a friend. You may be using non-standard English or colloquial language, slang or street type talk like out of a tabloid newspaper. Are you up for some volunteer work? If so, come and join us. We need a helping hand. Are you up? It's informal. On the other hand, if you're writing to a head teacher or a chairman of governors or even your local MP, you'd certainly be using more precise language. Formal language. I'm really grateful for this rare opportunity to develop my social skills. Is formal language a standard English? probably the sort used by newsreaders or in a broadsheet newspaper. So you've got to remember that it's important to aim the content and style of your writing to your target audience. The language you use, your choice of vocabulary, it must suit the age and status of your reader. So here's those examples that I promised earlier. And here you can see it's a formal writing and it's an article. So we started it with a strong opening statement. Communicate is in urgent need of help. Then followed quickly by a group of 3, keen, kind and caring students. There's a high use of high-level vocabulary, exhilarating experience. And we finish it off that paragraph with a rhetorical question. Nice eloquent language there with that rhetorical question on the end. The next paragraph starts with a linking connective for that reason. Always important to make sure that your paragraphs start with different words and different phrases. Exaggeration there, you will be a hero. Persuasive vocabulary there. And then it finishes off with a quotation. You've got an anecdote in that 3rd paragraph there. An adverb in the 4th, it definitely. You, and it's talking directly to the reader there when you use you and we, as we mentioned earlier. We've got emotive language, our group is desperate. The use of the pronoun we again to identify with the language, even in the 4th paragraph. Use of linguistic device and alliteration, caring, cooperative and compassionate. Exaggeration at the end of the paragraph, and that final sentence down there at the bottom, it links back with the opening. Communicate. Links back potentially with the title that you were asked to write here. So it's always important to do that, and it helps you to know that you've answered the question and done the task that they've asked you to do. So that's a formal piece of writing. I've also got an example here of an informal piece of writing, an informal blog on the school website to get students to sign up for volunteer work with disabled children. I've just picked out a few things to highlight here. Colloquial language at the beginning. Are you up for volunteer work? Repetition. Are you interested? Does this tempt you? Again, getting the reader involved there directly. And that also occurs in the 4th paragraph here. Then together, you can make your choice from a long list of activities. You, it's talking directly to the reader. And a nice group of 3 there as well. Smooth, creamy and delicious. So there we go. To summarise, we've engaged your reader. You've considered your purpose and you've considered your language. And as I've said many times in this presentation, all of the information comes from how do I improve my grade in GCSE English. And you can visit the website down the bottom, guineapigeducation.co.uk, or you can find us on Facebook. We'll be able to give you more hints and tips. We're regularly uploading our Facebook page in order to do that, to bring you the info that you need to get really good grades this summer. So, once again, if you want this book for £5, email amanda@guineapigeducation.co.uk. I hope you found everything I've discussed today useful, and good luck in those exams this summer.